think I could become an exorcist?
I saw a group of demons near the village.
What is wrong with Midgand? I mean, don't they have an army or something?
Do not fear. With my power as an exorcist.
I will make you pay.
The Tales of series is definitely one of the biggest JRPG series that we have out there to date. Every major publisher kind of has their own superstar. Bandai Namco, of course, has the Tales of series. Sega has the Persona / Shin Megami Tensei series. Well, Square Enix, of course, has Final Fantasy. It's been 9 years since its official launch in 2016, but today we're not just diving into just any JRPG. I wanted to plunge headfirst into a whirlwind of emotion, a blazing inferno of vengeance, and a Tales of game that dared to flip the script entirely. But to see if the JRPG is worth playing in 2025, so get ready, because today we're talking about the raw, the visceral, and the absolutely unforgettable Tales of Berseria. Now, if you know of the Tales of series, you know the drill. There's vibrant worlds, there's great plucky heroes, there's themes of friendship, justice, saving the world, you know, all that good stuff, right? But in 2017, Berseria just jumped onto the scene globally, looked at all of those tropes, and said, hey, how about we show y'all something different than what we normally are used to doing? And this time around, we got a protagonist who wasn't just different, she was a force of nature, unlike anything we've seen in the series of my knowledge. I've played quite a few Tales series games. It's been a long time, but I'm like, last time I checked, I haven't seen any main character that was remotely as edgy as Velvet. But the lore of this game is actually what brought me back into this game. I remember back during its first launch on PS4, and I never really got a chance to really finish it back then. Basically, it got buried quite deep into my backlog, and I ended up just forgetting about it. So when the Tales of series kept receiving so many remasters this year in 2025, I'm like, shit, you know, I think it's a great time to go back and to replay Berseria and see if it holds up in 2025. Now, while we do go back down memory lane, I will actually let me know some of your favorite Tales of series, or as well as let me know if there's any Tales of games that you would like me to play. I am still in the process of currently beating Berseria, but I definitely needed to make this video for you guys. I'm like, this game, and the times where AAA studios have been messing up a lot lately, it always feels good to just play some of your games back in your backlog, and this is exactly what I did. So I definitely recommend anybody to check their backlog before buying these $90 Nintendo games, basically. But without a yapping, let's hop right into the retrospective, right? So starting out, you know, I talked about Velvet and about the other heroes that we are known in the other Tales of this game. You know, we don't have no chosen one, no destined warrior, but Berseria throws us right into the deep end, into the shoes of Velvet Crow. Her life, her entire world is savagely ripped apart by the very man that she once admired, as well as almost a brother-in-law to her, Artorias Colbrand. There is a major plot point in the very opening of the game, and there's another of that same plot point that starts in the prologue of the game, and it's called the Scarlet Night. It essentially is a blood moon that appears, and it actually turns demons, or it gets them kind of like wild up, but it sometimes can even turn humans into demons due to the demon blight, and some people just are not good enough at controlling it, so they go entirely crazy. And right there is the entire moment a loving older sister is twisted, consumed, and reborn as a Therian demon, a rare demon and such, who can absorb other demons for food. But her little brother, Laphicet, was sacrificed by Artorias in some twisted ritual to purify the world from malevolence. And that right there becomes the agonizing fuel for Velvet's all-consuming rage. And you learn all of this information right at the jump, right at the very beginning of the game. Like, as soon as you hit the start game, you got this anime cutscene plays out, so you get to see a little bit of backstory. And then as you're playing with Velvet in the main village town and the prologue, you get to see how the villagers treat Artorias, see how they treat everybody else, see how the demons are taking over, and it's just a crazy sight to see. So this isn't some hero's journey where we choose to save the world. Like, no, Velvet's path, man, it's carved by one thing and one thing only, and it's just vengeance. And that's one thing that really makes me enjoy this game's story. I love when we get something quite different than the norm, this primal, almost terrifying drive to make Artorias pay for what he stole from her. And that, my friends, is where Berseria immediately just punches you right in the sternum, right in the gut, and says, hey, welcome to something new. And in some way, I've actually really felt Velvet's anger that she has towards Artorias. The entire beginning prologue sets you up this scene, and it's what kicks off the entire story. It's just like, we are now on the hunt for Artorias, and you start to really feel that, because it's like, you killed my little brother, she loved him, and you can see that during the prologue of the game. Like, you can tell she really loved her little brother, right? She loved him, and just for it to happen in her face, get betrayed by the person that you admired the most, and on top of that, they basically send you to your own death, and as well as destroyed your entire town. There's some vengeance in that, and that's what makes her story just very compelling. After Velvet gets after she notices what actually ends up happening and how Artorias betrayed her, she has this badass anime scene where she just basically threatens that she will be the end of him. But as time goes by, she wakes up and she's trapped in Titania, a brutal prison for those that are afflicted by demon blight. And Velvet's escape isn't some, solo John Wick movie, right? No. This is the next thing that really makes me enjoy this game as a whole. And it's actually the team that Velvet assembles, and perhaps the most wonderfully, morally gray, utterly chaotic, and as well as strangely endearing party that I've seen in most JRPG team parties, and from my knowledge of some of the Tales games as well. Of course, one of the first people she ends up meeting is Rokuro Rengetsu, a loyal, demon-blooded swordsman who has this calm intensity, and he's also like obsessed with battle because he's theoretically a war demon, and he just has a lot of mysteries about himself, and it's just he gives this playful side, but he also is just calm, and I like that about him. He gives me this badass kind of like this badass character. Then of course she meets Magalu, this eccentric, self-proclaimed greatest sorceress whose equal parts are very comedic. I like the certain skits that when they are talking and she just has this comedic moments, or she has this nonchalant like moments during cutscenes, and then like all of a sudden she can flip and be like a lot more serious, and you can see that she's hiding like a tragic past of her own and with the way she talks. But I just like that dynamic with that character. Like almost every character on Velvet's team has a dynamic, and I feel like that's trying to tell a story that I'll talk a little bit about later. But we move on. We also get Aizen, who is a stoic. He is a stoic, curse-afflicted Malik. He's forever battling his own problems. And then we, of course, reluctantly at first, we get Eleanor, who is a conflicted exorcist, who is forced to like grapple with the Abbey's rigid dogma and her own sense of like right and wrong, seeing the evil side kind of close up. And she's definitely interesting just due to the simple fact that, oh, hey, you are actually one of my enemies, but now you're understanding Velvet's cause. And of course, last but not least, we have the little spark in the darkness, Laphicet. And no, not the original brother. This is Laphicet that Velvet names this Malik, that is essentially she acquired on the escape from like the Exorcist and Halloween during the one of the first chapters of the game. But his pure, innocent, inquisitive nature slowly but almost imperceptibly begins to chip away at Velvet's hardened exterior and becoming her unexpected anchor back to something resembling humanity, because this particular Malik reminds Velvet of her actual younger brother. She even calls out to him, as Laffy said, as she was in a process of not understanding what was going on when she was dazed and confused. So you can really tell that just with all of these heroes that we have for our story here, they all have this two sides of a coin. There is a contrast between themselves, between how they portray themselves versus what's deep down. And I just love seeing that about teams. Just gives me the same vibe that I get when I play Final Fantasy 9 or Final Fantasy 7. Like, this is how JRPGs get great teams. Like, it deserves a great story, good gameplay, and of course the team we're playing as, the cast. You really got to like really pull at my strings when we're playing as the characters, because right now when you're playing through Tales of Berseria, this is not your clean-cut fellowship of noble heroes. These are basically outcasts, man. These are criminals. These are people who are living completely outside the quote-unquote reason that the Abbey tries to enforce. Their interactions, especially in the, you see it in the skits that you get to have, they're just pure gold. They provide that much needed relief and deep character growth amidst the brutal, grim, overarching story. You will see Velvet's gradual, almost imperceptible softening, not into some goody two shoes, but into more of a complete person, just capable of empathy again, even if her core motivation still burns brighter than Sephiroth's supernova. Because she went from this caring, loving older sister to all of a sudden, I hate you, I will kill you, I will do all of these things that I possibly can to hurt you because you destroyed my little brother, right? And then as she gets this ragtag group of people here, and as she continues through her story, little things start to chip away at that very hardened exterior, and then she becomes more of a complete person, having, anger as well as empathy and sympathy as well. Like, she's getting a nice blend of both. But of course, we cannot talk about a Tales of game without talking about the combat. Tales of Berseria didn't just tweak the series battle system, it gave it a total adrenaline shot through and through. Like, it souped it up because it made it way more dynamic, more aggressive, and more satisfying. Then there is of course, what's known in the Tales of series, which is the linear motion battle system, but they actually overhauled it, calling it the Liberation linear mobile battle system, focusing heavily on character specific break souls and that crucial soul gauge system. Now, one thing to keep in mind is a key element in battles is the soul gauge, right? That replaces the move governing mechanics of earlier Tales games, where each character has a separate gauge showing of up to 5 souls, which are used when arts are being used. Now, characters can still attack with a depleted soul gauge. Their attacks can just be easily deflected by enemies, but the soul gauge automatically recharges over time. Souls are also dropped by enemies in battle that can be stolen to refill the gauge. A mechanic that enemies can also use to steal souls from the players. If enough of the soul gauge is full, characters can activate unique states, which are called the break soul, where they can just exceed their combo limit, bring unique effects into battle. For instance, Velvet's break soul triggers her arm to become bestial, and different elemental attacks are triggered depending on the enemy type. So gone are the days of staring at the TP bar, right? You're constantly managing your soul gauge. You basically need to land your hits, exploit your weaknesses, stun your enemies, and then boom, bada bang, you're good to go. You gain souls, you extend your combos, unleash those absolute devastating break souls that are quite unique, super powered abilities that are tied to each character. So it's actually really fun building what combos you want to do. That's honestly was one of the funnest things I was doing. Just like, dude, I want this ability to do this, this, and this. So, and you can even plan it out if you know a certain dungeon has dungeon enemies have specific weaknesses. You can actually craft out your combos so that it can deal the max amount of damage. But the kicker is, if you do get hit, you miss the attack, or you suffer any of the status effects, you lose souls. crippling your options. So it's a brilliant, high risk, high reward in a sense. It's a little bit layered down a little bit mechanic that keeps you quite engaged, keeps you planning, and just keeps you on the edge of your seat when you're in the combat. Now, I will say this though, wholeheartedly, I'm gonna be honest with you. Disclaimer: I do be just mashing buttons when I was playing this game, but I'm at least mashing my buttons a lot smarter than I should be. I'm actually doing it with intent. But it's a fun action RPG that is old. Like, this was the last Tales of game before PS5. I think this is the last Tales of game that lasted on the PS4. So overall, this right here was a fun PlayStation game to hop into, and it's even fun now while playing it on Steam. The sheer depth of customization through linked arts, equipment skills, the deep character progression allow for endless build diversity. Battles felt less like menu navigating and more like a hyper stylized anime fight scene in a sense. It rewarded aggression, it rewarded understanding your character's nuances, and it felt just incredible to just pull off the combos to go to your advantage. But at its very heart, beyond the vengeance and the awesome combat, Tales of Berseria dives deep into one of the most compelling conflicts: emotion versus reason. Now, this goes back to what I said earlier when talking about the story of the game and understanding about why the characters are some of my favorite. And it comes down to the core conflict, right? Artorias and the Abbey, with their cold, calculating logic, truly believe that by suppressing emotion, by strictly adhering to pure reason, they can eliminate malevolence and create a perfect, serene world. They sacrifice individuals for the greater good, convinced that their detached logic is the only path to salvation. That's one side of the coin, right? Let's talk about the second side, right? The side that we're on. Velvet and her crew, on the other hand, fueled by their raw, untamed emotions, whether it's between rage, grieving, determination, or just genuine moments of joy and care, has fundamentally challenged Artorias and his exorcist's entire ideology. Berseria makes a powerful argument. While unchecked emotion can lead to destruction, a world utterly devoid of it is equally, if not more dangerous. It leads to apathy, to brutal oppression, and to a chilling, soulless existence. The game never gives you easy answers, though. Instead, it just kind of forces you to confront those murky gray areas, right? And truly question what constitutes as good and as evil. It's a masterclass in philosophical storytelling. I don't know why I stroked trying to say that, but it is definitely something that really makes me want to continue playing, and it's like my main reason why like people need to check this game out. It's been almost a decade now, and I feel like this game it received a lot of praise upon launch, but I feel like it needs to receive more praise, especially as Bandai has been announcing different remasters for the Tales of series as of this year. So I'm like, we can't forget about one of the bangers that we got back on the PS4. So the lasting impact and why does it matter for the Tales of series and Tales of Berseria to be exact, it was not just another entry in a beloved series. It was a statement in a sense, right? When you look at it in a different way, it absolutely resonated with players who are craving something different from the Tales of series, something a bit more darker, something a little less predictable. A lot of people weren't like, when it comes to Persona, a lot of people didn't just always like the fact that, oh, they're high schoolers or something like that, or some people got tired of the same thing of like, we're playing a goody two shoes, like we need darker stories. Like there's not too many dark JRPGs out there, so it's one of those things where like critics really showered it with praise for its maturity, uncompromising storytelling, the complex characters, and the sheer audacity of its premise in its whole. It did take a massive narrative risk, and honestly, it paid off in so much. And even when I look up research on the game now, people on Reddit and people on different social media groups still hold Tales of Berseria as one of the one of the best Tales of games that are out there, especially like Vesperia, stuff like that. So let's not forget its fascinating connection to also Tales of Zestiria, in which I just found out as I was writing my script for this video, but it actually serves as a overall prequel set a millennium earlier. Now, this wasn't just some tacked on lore, it brilliantly enriched both narratives, showing the past actions and even seemingly unrelated ones just can echo through time and fluency in the future without direct causation. It is brilliant in itself. Berseria left an undeniable mark on the Tales series and on the JRPG landscape as a whole. It proved that a story driven by pure, unadulterated revenge could still be deeply empathetic. The anti-heroes could be incredibly sympathetic, and that even in the darkest, most despairing of tales, there's always a tiny flicker of light to be found in genuine human connection. It is a game that makes you think, makes you feel, and ultimately it stays with you long after, the credits roll on you. So whether you're a seasoned Tales of veteran or you're just looking for a unique, emotionally charged experience that pulls no punches, if you haven't picked up Tales of Berseria, you absolutely owe it to yourself to play it. Let Velvet's journey consume you. Let her rage ignite your entire screen, because there's a lot of rage that she's going to have. And I want you to witness firsthand why this tale of vengeance stands as an undeniable, absolute highlight in the Tales of Legacy and many other great JRPG stories out there. And one thing that's funny that I learned about Tales of Berseria basically means Tales of Berserker. So like right off the jump, we knew we were getting something dark. But hey, if you enjoyed the today's retrospective on Tales of Berseria, then I definitely recommend checking out my review of Square Enix's first ever horror JRPG, Parasite Eve. And as always, I want you to stay safe out there, and it's been your host, Chaos DTV, signing out. Peace.